The atmosphere on the set of The View was electric that morning as the audience buzzed with anticipation for the arrival of Hollywood superstar Michael B. Jordan. Known for his roles in blockbuster films like Black Panther and Creed, Jordan had been invited to discuss his latest project, a gripping drama about social injustice in America. The co-hosts, including Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, Alyssa Fair-Griffin, and the outspoken Sunny Hostin, welcomed him with warm applause and smiles. Whoopi started the conversation lightly, asking about his fitness routine and how he prepared for physically demanding roles. Jordan, ever the charmer, shared anecdotes from his training sessions, making the panel laugh with stories of grueling workouts and cheat days involving his favorite soul food. As the segment progressed, the talk shifted to more serious topics, with Sarah inquiring about the inspiration behind his new film. Jordan explained how personal experiences and current events shaped the storyline, emphasizing the need for representation and change in the industry. Sunny Hostin, a former prosecutor with a passion for civil rights, nodded along initially, but her expression hardened when Jordan touched on systemic issues without delving into specifics she deemed crucial. She interjected politely at first, questioning whether his portrayal truly captured the nuances of racial inequality or if it risked oversimplifying complex matters for mainstream audiences. Jordan responded thoughtfully, defending his creative choices and highlighting collaborations with activists and scholars to ensure authenticity. The exchange remained civil, but underlying tensions began to simmer as Hostin pressed further, suggesting that celebrities like him sometimes prioritize box office success over genuine advocacy. The audience sensed the shift, murmuring softly as the discussion grew more pointed. Jordan maintained his composure, articulating his commitment to using his platform for positive impact, citing initiatives like his production company that supports underrepresented filmmakers. However, Hostin's follow-up comments implied a disconnect between Jordan's on-screen heroism and real-world actions, referencing past interviews where he discussed his upbringing but not enough about policy changes. This sparked a subtle defensiveness in Jordan, who countered by sharing vulnerable moments from his life, including the challenges of being a black man in Hollywood. The co-hosts tried to mediate, with Joy cracking a joke to lighten the mood, but the conversation veered into uncharted territory, setting the stage for what would become an unforgettable confrontation. As the segment continued, the back-and-forth intensified, with Hostin challenging Jordan on his views regarding affirmative action in the entertainment industry, arguing that more needed to be done to dismantle barriers. Jordan agreed in principle but disagreed on the methods, advocating for grassroots efforts over top-down mandates. The debate highlighted their differing perspectives, with Hostin drawing from her legal background and Jordan from his lived experiences. The audience applauded sporadically, divided in their reactions, while the producers in the control room monitored the rising heat closely. Little did anyone know that this seemingly standard interview was about to explode into chaos, leaving viewers stunned and social media ablaze with opinions. As the commercial break ended and the cameras rolled again, the tension from the previous segment lingered like a storm cloud over the set. Michael B. Jordan, seated comfortably yet alert, faced Sunny Hostin directly, her eyes sharp and unwavering as she launched into a deeper probe of his film's message. She questioned the authenticity of certain plot points, suggesting they romanticized struggle without addressing accountability from those in power. Jordan, maintaining his poise, elaborated on the research involved, mentioning consultations with historians and community leaders to portray an accurate narrative. However, Hostin's persistence grew, accusing the film of potentially perpetuating stereotypes rather than challenging them, her voice rising slightly with conviction. The other co-hosts interjected occasionally, with Whoopi attempting to steer the conversation toward common ground, praising Jordan's efforts in diversifying Hollywood. But Hostin wasn't backing down. She referenced statistics on underrepresented groups in film production, implying Jordan's success story was an exception rather than the rule, and urged him to use his influence more vocally in political arenas. Jordan countered firmly, sharing how he mentors young talents and invests in projects that amplify marginalized voices, but he felt her tone was accusatory, as if doubting his sincerity. The exchange escalated when Hostin brought up a recent controversy involving another celebrity's handling of similar themes. Drawing a parallel that Jordan found unfair and unrelated, he expressed frustration, stating that such comparisons undermined individual contributions and distracted from collective progress. The audience gasped at moments, some cheering Hostin's boldness while others supported Jordan's defense. Alyssa tried to defuse by asking about upcoming projects, but Hostin redirected, pressing Jordan on his stance regarding recent Supreme Court decisions affecting diversity initiatives. Jordan responded passionately, arguing for education and community building as key to lasting change, but Hostin's rebuttal suggested his approach was too passive, lacking the urgency needed in turbulent times. This back and forth created a palpable divide on the panel, with Joy siding somewhat with Hostin on the need for activism, while Sarah empathized with Jordan's perspective. The discussion delved into personal territories, with Hostin sharing her experiences as a woman of color in media, challenging Jordan to reflect on privileges within his stardom. Jordan acknowledged her points but emphasized intersectionality, noting how gender and race intersect differently for everyone. The intensity built as voices overlapped, the moderator struggling to maintain order without cutting to break. Viewers at home watched in rapt attention, sensing the raw authenticity rarely seen on daytime TV. Social media began to light up with live tweets, hashtags like #TheViewClash trending as clips circulated. Jordan's body language shifted subtly, his smiles fading into serious expressions, while Hostin's gestures became more animated, underscoring her arguments. The confrontation highlighted broader societal debates, making the segment more than just entertainment. It was a microcosm of national conversations on race, representation, and responsibility. As the minutes ticked by, the heat reached a boiling point, with Jordan finally voicing his exasperation at what he perceived as an interrogation rather than a dialogue. The clash between Michael B. Jordan and Sunny Hostin reached new heights as the segment delved into even more contentious territory, with Hostin questioning Jordan's involvement in political endorsements and whether his silence on certain issues equated to complicity. Jordan, now visibly irritated, defended his right to choose battles wisely, explaining that his focus on storytelling through film was his form of activism, impactful in its own way. Hostin countered sharply, citing examples of other stars who balanced careers with vocal advocacy, implying Jordan could do more given his platform. The audience reacted with a mix of applause and boos, creating a chaotic soundtrack to the unfolding drama. Whoopi intervened, reminding everyone of the show's aim to foster discussion, but the momentum was unstoppable. Jordan leaned forward, his tone firm as he recounted personal anecdotes of discrimination faced early in his career, arguing that his success was hard-won and not to be diminished. Hostin, undeterred, referenced data on Hollywood's diversity gaps, pressing him on specific actions his production company takes to address them. The back and forth grew heated, with raised voices and interrupted sentences, the other co-hosts exchanging uneasy glances. Sarah attempted to pivot to lighter topics, like Jordan's directorial debut, but Hostin steered back, accusing the industry and by extension, figures like Jordana of performative allyship. Jordan shot back, calling her critique unfair and based on assumptions rather than facts, his frustration evident in clenched fists and a furrowed brow. The control room buzzed with activity, producers debating whether to cut the segment short, but the live nature kept it rolling. Viewers tweeted furiously, some praising Hostin's tenacity for holding celebrities accountable, others defending Jordan as a positive role model under attack. The debate expanded to broader themes, like the role of art in social change, with Jordan passionately advocating for nuance in portrayals, while Hostin demanded bolder stances against injustice. Tensions peaked when Hostin made a comment about Jordan's dating history intersecting with cultural discussions, which he deemed irrelevant and invasive. He stood up slightly, shaking his head in disbelief, muttering about the line between journalism and sensationalism. The co-hosts gasped, Joy trying to joke it off, but the damage was done. Jordan sat back down, but his demeanor had changed, the charm replaced by defensiveness. Hostin, sensing the shift, tried to clarify her intent, but Jordan interrupted, stating he came to promote his work, not defend his entire life. The audience's energy amplified the moment, with cheers and jeers blending into a cacophony. This escalation transformed the interview from promotional to pivotal, sparking debates on media ethics and celebrity accountability. As the argument circled without resolution, Jordan's patience wore thin, leading to the inevitable breaking point that would shock everyone involved. In the midst of the fiery exchange, Sunny Hostin doubled down on her points, quoting articles that critiqued Jordan's film for lacking depth in certain social commentaries, challenging him to respond directly. Michael B. Jordan, his voice now edged with anger, refuted the claims by detailing the script's evolution and the input from diverse consultants, accusing Hostin of cherry-picking criticisms to provoke. The panel erupted into crosstalk, with Alyssa supporting Jordan's creative freedom, while Joy aligned with Hostin's call for accountability. Whoopi banged her hand lightly on the table, calling for order, but the passion overrode protocol. Hostin leaned in, her expression intense, as she questioned Jordan's understanding of intersectional feminism in his roles, suggesting a pattern of strong male leads at the expense of female narratives. Jordan fired back, highlighting female-led projects he's produced and his admiration for women in the industry, but felt the attack was personal. The audience divided further, some chanting Jordan's name, others applauding Hostin's boldness. Social media exploded with memes and clips, the hashtag #JordanVs.Hostin going viral in real time. Producers signaled for a commercial, but the debate raged on, Jordan standing up momentarily to emphasize a point, his stature commanding attention. Hostin remained seated but unyielding, her legal training evident in precise arguments. The confrontation delved into Hollywood's broader issues, like pay disparities and casting biases, with both parties making valid points amid the chaos. Jordan expressed disappointment in the turn of events, stating he expected a supportive platform, not an ambush. Hostin retorted that tough questions are part of the job, especially for public figures influencing culture. The other co-hosts tried bridging gaps, Sarah sharing a personal story to relate, but the core conflict persisted. Tension culminated when Hostin implied Jordan's responses were evasive, prompting him to slam his hand on the armrest in frustration, declaring the discussion unproductive. Gasps filled the studio, the live feed capturing every raw emotion. Viewers at home debated online, some sympathizing with Jordan's vulnerability, others admiring Hostin's fearlessness. The segment, meant to be 10 minutes, stretched longer, the energy electric and unpredictable. Jordan's eyes flashed with resolve as he contemplated his next move, the weight of the moment heavy. Hostin, sensing the impasse, attempted a softer tone, but it was too late. The buildup of misunderstandings and heated words had created an irreparable rift on live television. The breaking point arrived swiftly and dramatically as Michael B. Jordan, pushed to his limit by Sunny Hostin's relentless questioning, rose from his seat with a steely gaze fixed on the panel. "I've had enough of this," he declared, his voice steady but laced with indignation, as he unclipped his microphone and tossed it gently onto the couch. The audience erupted in a mix of shock and applause, murmurs rippling through the crowd like waves. Hostin, taken aback, called out for him to stay and continue the dialogue, but Jordan shook his head, muttering about respect and boundaries crossed. Whoopi stood up, urging him to reconsider, while Joy quipped nervously about the unexpected turn, trying to salvage the moment with humor. Sarah and Alyssa exchanged wide-eyed looks, the chaos unfolding in real time. Jordan paused at the edge of the set, turning back briefly to address the camera directly. "I came here to talk about my work and inspire, not to be dissected like this." With that, he stormed offstage, his footsteps echoing amid the stunned silence that followed. Producers scrambled, cutting to an unplanned commercial break as the co-hosts processed the exit. Hostin, composing herself, expressed regret if her words offended but stood by her intent to spark meaningful conversation. The studio audience buzzed with excitement and disbelief. Phones out recording the aftermath. Social media ignited instantaneously, clips of the walk-off spreading like wildfire, garnering millions of views within minutes. Commentators debated the incident, some labeling it a necessary confrontation on tough issues, others criticizing Hostin for pushing too far. Jordan's fans rallied in support, praising his grace under pressure, while critics accused him of avoiding accountability. The View's official account issued a statement later, acknowledging the passionate exchange and inviting Jordan back anytime. Backstage, reports surfaced of Jordan composing himself before leaving the building, declining interviews. Hostin, in post-show reflections, admitted that he'd got away from them but hoped it highlighted important topics. The event became a talking point across networks, with late-night hosts preparing monologues and news outlets analyzing the implications for daytime TV. Jordan's publicist released a brief response, emphasizing his commitment to respectful discourse and moving forward with his projects. The storm-off not only shocked viewers but also sparked broader discussions on media interactions with celebrities, the fine line between probing and provoking, and the role of live TV in addressing societal divides. In the wake of Michael B. Jordan's dramatic exit from The View, the internet and media landscape transformed into a battleground of opinions, analyses, and memes dissecting every second of the clash with Sunny Hostin. Late-night shows like The Tonight Show and The Late Show featured comedic recreations, with hosts impersonating the tense moments to roaring laughter. News outlets from CNN to Fox News covered the story, interviewing experts on communication and celebrity culture, debating if such confrontations benefit public discourse or merely entertain. Jordan, keeping a low profile initially, posted a cryptic message on social media about staying true to oneself amid adversity, which garnered overwhelming support from fans and peers alike. Celebrities weighed in, some like Oprah praising the raw honesty, others like Tyler Perry calling for more empathy in interviews. Hostin appeared on subsequent episodes of The View, addressing the incident head-on, explaining her passion stems from a desire for progress and apologizing if her approach seemed aggressive. The co-hosts reflected collectively, with Whoopi noting the unpredictability of live TV and Joy joking about needing hazard pay for heated segments. Ratings for The View skyrocketed, the episode becoming one of the most watched in recent history, proving controversy sells. Jordan's film saw a surge in interest, ticket pre-sales boosting as curiosity peaked. Public relations experts analyzed the long-term effects, suggesting Jordan's walk-off humanized him, showing vulnerability, while Hostin's stance reinforced her as a formidable voice on social issues. Online petitions emerged, some demanding an apology from Hostin, others supporting her journalistic integrity. The incident inspired think pieces on race, power dynamics and media, and the expectations placed on black celebrities to represent entire communities. Jordan eventually broke his silence in an interview with a friendly outlet, elaborating on feeling ambushed but harboring no ill will, focusing instead on his upcoming endeavors. Hostin echoed similar sentiments, expressing respect for Jordan's work and openness to future discussions. The event faded from headlines but left a lasting impact, reminding everyone of the volatile nature of live television and the power of unscripted moments to ignite national conversations. As time passed, both parties moved on, their careers unscathed, if not enhanced, by the shocking encounter that captivated the world.